Hello guys, S2W here as your average consumer with your casual consumer's review. For today's video, I have a sneaker that did not sell out immediately when it first came out and still have sizes left as we speak, just not the popular sizes. It's a pair of shoes that actually not a lot of people liked, as the pricing is also something that's beyond the conventional price as it's a special collaborative pair. Today, I have the Adidas AW Run by Alexander Wang for a review. For those who are like me who don't really know a lot about famous designers, Alexander Wang is an American fashion designer born to Taiwanese American parents. He has been critically acclaimed and known to his peers for his urban approach to women's wear, and his men's collection is certainly not lacking in any form as well. For this collaboration with Adidas, not only did he design multiple apparel including hoodies, long sleeves, and track pants, but he also created various footwear together with Adidas. The collection with Adidas included the AW skate shoes, the AW b-ball shoes, the AW run shoes, and also the Adidas AW Run Clean, which seems like it's essentially the deconstructed version of the AW Run shoes. The model I have here is the Adidas AW Run in the white colorway, which is not a model that's totally new as they have released a black silhouette of the shoe at the beginning of March 2017 already. Those models didn't release in Canada actually, but the pair I have here today and also a pair in the gray colorway were launched last Saturday before this video's upload date on April 15th of 2017. Straight up, something unique to this collaboration is that number 1, the sneaker box is actually the inverse of what we usually see, where the outer blue box design is on the inside, while the plain white surface of the box is shown on the outside instead. And number 2, the shoes came in a dust bag with a drawstring, presenting the shoe with a very high class and designer item feel. Now let's take a closer look at the shoes. The sneaker definitely have this modern running shoe theme, which follows the frequent urban design scheme that Alexander has been known for. I was skeptical at first as in hand, it didn't look as nice as the ones depicted in pictures, but that's because I'm sure they placed something inside the shoe to stuff it up, as the shoes look really flat and deflated in person. Why? Because the shoe has a sock-like upper that creates a modern clean look, utilizing Adidas' top-of-the-line technology material to create the upper. The cream white sock color of this sneaker is very stretchy, reminiscent of Adidas' top-of-the-line prime knit material, which is known for its flexible and lightweight properties. Attached to this sock color is the rest of the upper in pure white. In hand, I don't think the upper is prime knit at all. It looks like it's mesh, but interestingly enough, this mesh is quite elastic as well. This elastic mesh upper is something I've not felt before on an Adidas shoe, as it's certainly a material that's more flexible than traditional mesh, but not as stretchy as something as prime knit. So maybe Adidas still have something up their sleeve in future releases with an interesting upper like this. Visually, the shoe mirrors each other both lateral and medial side, with a piece of gray soft leather overlay that's stitched onto the mesh upper, and additionally held together by an elastic nylon strap attached on both sides of the shoe at the forefront. As for the midsole of the shoe, Adidas and Alexander Wang has incorporated the popular cushioning material Boost to this sneaker. Boost technology is known for its energy returning properties, that on every step that you take, the material literally bounces you off the ground, offering the soft and cloud-like feeling as you walk or run around in this cushioning. There's also a rubber lining that divides the upper of the shoe with the midsole, seen wrapping all around this sneaker. Threaded through this leather overlay is quote-unquote the lacing of this shoe. This sneaker does not follow the traditional norm of laces where you have to tie it yourself, but rather designed with a drawstring instead, where the string makes a trip to the hindfoot area and back up to the heel section, where you can actually make the shoes tighter and looser via a cord lock. The cord lock feels very difficult to use, as I had to use some strength to lock or loosen it by pulling the cord, so I'm actually scared of snapping the string or even damaging the lace holes at the back of the shoes. Under the leather overlay and drawstring, we have a blue piece of thin foam that acts like the tongue of the shoe. You can move this piece of foam left and right and nothing more, as it's held in place near the edge of the forefront. This blue foam also have the Adidas Originals branding upside down, while an extra the brand with the 3 stripes branding in English and German right under the other logo. Again, this piece of foam feels very flimsy and thin. I personally wouldn't recommend shifting this piece too much, as again, I feel afraid that any strong tugs or pull will snap or crack the material. At the back of the shoes, we have this gray suede heel patch with a triangle stitching at the top, with Adidas' Trayfo logo upside down on the right shoe, while the 3 vertical stripes is shown on the left pair. This heel patch is also where the drawstring is threaded through, so you can lock the patch closer to your heels. But on another note, this patch is free to move and dangling on its own, as it's only stitched onto the sock collar through the triangle shape that we see on the patch. Keep in mind, this is a pretty small stitching that is attached literally to the flexible sock collar of the shoe, and the sock collar is already extremely fragile on its own, so when you lock down the shoes through the drawstring, make sure you be careful. Flipping over the shoe, we have a gum colored rubber outsole with multiple sharp triangular tread patterns that will most likely give decent traction and durability to the shoes. At the arch region, you will see a trapezoid-like plate with Adidas' Trefoil logo and Alexander Wang's name as the extra branding on this shoe. Inside the shoe, this collab came with removable insoles with multiple Adidas and Alexander Wang's logo all over the surface of the insole. This insole had the smooth textile finish to it, while just under the insole, it's plain. And like usual, when you remove the insole, you will see a felt-like piece of fabric separating the Boost material from direct contact with our feet. Something I did notice is that there is a piece of thin plastic overlay at the heel portion of the inner lining, probably to give the shoe a bit more structure, but in my opinion, it doesn't really do a lot. Anyways, here are some Adidas AW Run by Alexander Wang in the color white fit footage. Fit wise, I went with my Adidas Prime Knit size and it felt great, which is my true to size as I have wide feet. If you were ever to get this shoe, I would recommend going half size down as the material feels pretty stretchy and fits similar to Prime Knit shoes. Not quite in terms of stretchability, but very close. Comfort wise, the elastic mesh upper feels very nice, but the tongue is awkward for me, and I'm talking physically about the blue flap of foam. It feels like after putting on the shoes, the sock collar is pulling the whole upper back, making the tongue dig into the front of my ankles. It doesn't hurt me, but it feels weird and it's something that you need to get used to. Boost wise though, it's very comfy surprisingly. The boost proportion is less than an Ultra Boost of course, but it's also very similar to it. So it is more bouncy than most boosted shoes released recently, and I will categorize them as the shoe that's right under the Ultra Boost in terms of the comfy scale of boost material. I feel like it would have been more bouncy if the rubber outsole was less thick and tough, or if they used something like the Continental rubber outsole instead. I'll say this, if they actually put this boost midsole on another Adidas shoe, that shoe will become a great competition against the Ultra Boost or even the EQT Support 9317 Boost. Price wise, the shoe was $280 in Canada before tax at local boutiques, while $310 before tax from Adidas Canada. I do not understand why there's a difference in pricing between the companies, and it has happened with other products before as well, so if someone knows why, feel free to let me know in the comments as I am pretty curious about it. Because I had to buy from the latter, so I did pay an extra $30 more for this shoe, which is essentially $10 more than an Adidas Yeezy Boost 350 V2 at retail here in Canada. Now the question here is if the shoe is worth it. I don't consider myself as a sneaker expert, so looking at it from a sneaker fanatic commoner point of view, I personally don't think the price is worth it. I do understand for a sneaker item like this, it's technically not a common shoe for a common consumer anymore. This is literally a high-end fashion item that could be regarded as a work of art. For a $300 shoe for us Canadians, if you have listened to my close-up review, I was constantly afraid of wrecking the shoe. Everything on this shoe is basically held together by one pivotal point, such as the simple stitching at the end of the blue tongue, the small triangular stitching of the heel patch against the sock collar, the unique drawstring through the small flimsy lace hole at the side, and even the edge of the sock collar that is attached to the mesh upper. If any of those anchor point gives in or breaks, the whole shoe will be essentially done for, and that is pretty risky. Now that's just my opinion, as I feel like I was paranoid even when trying to jam my feet into the shoes. After trying them on, the drawstring system doesn't really do much to the tightness of the shoe. In the end, I think it's just for aesthetic purposes, and again, feels too brittle for me to want to use any of my strength to pull the string, as like I said before, it feels like it'll snap pretty easily. Even the blue foam itself feels so thin that with a small pull, I think I can snap it off from the end easily or chip the flimsy foam apart like styrofoam. So for the price, unless you want to treat the shoe with extra care, I feel like the shoe will break on you pretty quickly. And for something I feel like it will break easily, I just couldn't really justify the expensive pricing for these. However, the positive side to this shoe is that it does look pretty wild and something that a fashionista would wear. It's comfy and cozy, but the delicate feel to this shoe is making me very paranoid. As always, throw me some likes if you liked the video, and let me know in the comments if you like these AW runs. Did you think it was ugly, or did you get a pair as well? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today. S2W signing off.